Man, there's some wildly divergent opinions in that crowd over Lookout. Were you concerned heading into Lookout Cay around what it would be like, or were you like, it'll be fine?
Listen, I was concerned about a lot of things when you pay attention to the influencer crowd.
Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the DCL Duo podcast, brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel. And Sam, do your little jingle.
Yes, simply the best, better than all the rest.
That's right. It is review time. And so this week's review comes from Lauren Ray 21, who writes, really is the best DCL podcast. This podcast is the most thorough DCL-centered podcast. The variety of topics will have nearly anything a listener could be searching for. Sam and Brian are fantastic hosts. You tell how much work they put in to make this what it is. They are so engaging and easy to listen to. This is my favorite Disney Cruise Line podcast. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for that very kind review. We greatly appreciate it. And
yes, love that.
Yeah. And for all of you out there, we don't do this show for that sweet, sweet MailChimp money. For anyone out there who gets the reference, we donate all the proceeds to charity. And so what really keeps us going here is just the community we've built and the positive listener interactions we have and those great reviews that you leave us. So please, 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 the easiest way to support this show, head over to Apple Podcasts, hit those 5 stars. If you leave us a written review, we will read it on the air at the top of one of our main episodes, as we did with Lauren's review. So head over there. It's so easy. So easy to do.
Yes. And don't forget to like and subscribe to us on YouTube, because we are putting out tons of YouTube content now. All of our episodes, if you're listening to this on one of the podcast channels, if you want to see video, we're putting out all of our episodes over on YouTube as well with video. So you can see us talking. You can see our guests talking on our live shows. Oftentimes we have lots of visuals, PowerPoints, it's fun.
The selling point is you can see us talking.
You can see us talking.
You can see it. You can see
You can see you can see how I talk with my hands. If you want to see how I talk with my hands, you got to watch me on video. You can't hear it in my voice. So,
well, Sam, we got a fun topic today. You want to intro our topic and our guest for the day?
Yeah, I'm always excited to have a first-time cruiser on our show. It's, as I have said many times before, it's reliving our first cruise through somebody else's eyes. That's how I always feel when we have a first-time cruiser on. So today is no exception, but I'm super excited to welcome to the show, Alex. Welcome.
Thank you. I am grateful to be here. Having listened to many of those first-time cruise episodes, really grateful for those. I eat those things up. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. Thanks for reaching out to be on the show. We tell people all the time, without great guests that are willing to come on the show for the first time, for the 5th time, for the 10th time, we'd just be the 2 weirdos with mics that we are, and you would just be listening to us drone on. So it's always really fun to have new folks come on.
They're such nice mics. They're just weirdos with really nice microphones.
With really nice mics. True. Well, Alex, we're super excited to talk about your first time cruising on Disney, your first time cruising period. But let's back up and talk and hear about what your connection to Disney comes from, where your connection to Disney comes from, because we always find that people who cruise for the first time on Disney Cruise Line in particular, not just having cruised someplace else, generally have a background or connection to Disney. So I'd love to hear about yours.
I guess, you have the typical, growing up, childhood. My family would go to Disney World a few times. We're from Philadelphia area, and wasn't a major part of my childhood. But for some reason, when my wife and we got married pretty young, about 18 years ago, we were in our early 20s, and we just said, we can't imagine sitting on a beach anywhere. Everybody go on a honeymoon, just sit on a beach for 5-10 days. We just were like, let's go do something fun. So we both, one of the things that we enjoyed was Disney. That was like a shared thing from the very beginning. So we decided to go on our honeymoon to Disney World, and we stayed at Port Orleans Riverside, spent 10 days at Disney, had a lot of fun, and that really kind of kickstarted this through line through our relationship. Over the last 18 years with Disney, and we would go every couple years, do a 5-year anniversary. And then in 2021, we moved from the Philadelphia area down to North Florida. We live between
just to be closer to the mouse.
What's funny is that it was almost not like part of the consideration. There was a lot of other things going on at the time, and if people remember, and there was other factors and weather and just life change and a lot going on, and so but we were here maybe like 2 months, and we start looking at each other going, wait a minute, like Disney World is here. Like it was almost like an afterthought. And then, we
can
got
drive there.
I know. Yeah, it was, that's what it was. I mean, we knew, but we didn't think that it really wasn't part of the consideration. So, but yeah, we got annual passes within 3 months of moving here. And, I guess it was, as far as cruising, like we started paying attention to Disney influencers and travel agents and things like that, and then with all the the treasure promotions and news and everything, we kind of tracked that whole thing. And I actually, when they released the bookings for that, I booked a trip on the Treasure. That was supposed to be our first cruise was supposed to be on the Treasure. And then we just started feeling like, well, we can't really afford the price tag. And we were also a little nervous for the 7 nights being new cruisers. And so we decided to find something a little different out of Fort Lauderdale. We got on the Dream, the 5-night. And what was cool about that was the whole we can get to go to both islands. So I remember talking to our travel agent about, hey, what should we do? Go on the new ship or go to the new island, right? So
it's a big dilemma. But the price tag for the new ship was higher than the price tag for the new island by far.
Absolutely, and we ended up after we booked, they released like a promo or something and our kids were half off. It just all kind of worked out, perfectly for us for the first time, so that's kind of how we landed on that sailing.
Awesome. Well, and you picked a great itinerary for your first cruise, 5 nights, you said, on the Dream, going to both Lookout and Castaway. I know you also went to Nassau. People can debate whether that's a great stop, but
I got to ask real fast, Alex, since you mentioned that you were digging into the Disney community, the influencer crowd, the content creator crowd. After you booked and you were headed to Lookout Cay, man, there's some wildly divergent opinions in that crowd over Lookout. Were you concerned heading into Lookout Cay around what it would be like, or were you like, it'll be fine?
Listen, I was concerned about a lot of things when you pay attention to the influencer crowd. You start
that's a good point.
you start worrying about all these things that you don't know if they're actually realistic, concerns you should have or not. I like new stuff. It was really hard for me to turn up, cancel, reschedule to the older ship from this brand new one. I mean, I wanted to be, I want the inaugural merch and all that stuff, right? So it was hard because of a lot of that, not let alone, what's am I going to run into flies or long piers or all that stuff, Thankfully, there's some folks like yourself and others who I felt like kept a more of a, realistic approach. So
it's also why I like to have guests, because like our opinions are our opinions, whatever, right? And sometimes we're the first to experience it, so our opinions carry a little bit more weight initially, but I'd rather have all the guests in the world come on and tell people, which we will get to with you, like what's going on, what they liked, what they didn't like, what they thought was important, because that's more important to me than that is frankly more important to your vacation planning, is hearing from a lot of different people about the experience. So yeah.
And this idea of what to worry about and what to not worry about, right? Like I honestly, I want to tell people in general, there's not a whole lot to worry about with the Disney cruise. It's not like a Walt Disney World Parks vacation where you need to really type A plan everything and understand everything ahead of time. I'm not saying your cruise won't be more smooth if you do a little bit of planning, but there's just not a whole lot that you have to worry about and have to plan in advance with a cruise as compared to, a theme park trip. And for someone who has theme park experience, a cruise should be a total breeze.
The only thing I worry about is Amex is going to send a hitman after me out with my credit card bill. But yeah, yeah,
that onboard folio thing builds up real fast. No, I was going to say that I teach a research class. I'm a high school teacher, and I'm always been a researcher myself. So I actually find more joy in the planning process than probably in actually doing it, So it was interesting, like for a parks guy who really does enjoy. I mean, when we went on our honeymoon, I was doing like, I don't know what you'd buy the books, there was no
unofficial guides.
I was probably one of the OG touring plans members, back in the day. You know what I mean? So like I like that stuff. So that was an interesting, thing, was approaching this like, how do I go about it? Do I go about it like so? Part of the research background is, yes, I like to look at a lot of different opinions and try to find like the middle, consensus and rather than getting caught in the extremes and things like that. So,
and the extremes, I say to anyone, if you're seeing extreme opinions about something on Instagram or X or wherever you get your information from, whatever content you're looking at, like take it with a grain of salt, because a lot of the time this content is being made in order to get clicks. And like, we really try to stay away from that type of content and from that type of reporting on Disney, because we don't think that that's usually realistic. It's not usually what most people are going to experience. Like most people's experience, as you said, is going to fall more in that middle. That doesn't mean there aren't sometimes an extreme, something goes really right or something goes really wrong. Like those things do happen, but most people, that's not the case. Well, let's dive in a little bit on the planning side of things. You were going to, you're going to the two private islands and Nassau. You're a first-time cruiser, so your booking window is the last possible booking window for onboard activities, for excursions. Were there things that you were planning or trying to book and in advance? And if so, how did that whole process go? Obviously, you're such an intense researcher. I'm sure you had everything sort of ready of like, this is my first choice, this is my second choice, and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I had a good travel agent, so someone was able to help guide me through the key dates and things like that. That's really valuable. And then just I started, every time I'd listen to, I probably watched 100 YouTube videos, listened to 100 podcasts, whatever. And I kept the file on my phone of something that, I heard, someone said this, someone said that, someone, I had a thing on my app called Tips, and it was like, sommelier bin, or go to this at this time, or this, like I would just jot down, random things I would hear, and started to kind of make some sense of it as, we got closer. Obviously the big things were Palo brunch, right? Trying to get Palo brunch. And to be honest with you, I'm a little bit like my addiction was removed. I can't go to the app and like scroll and search for something right now. So I'm feeling a little like what am I going to do with myself right now? I'm not within a booking window of anything at the moment. So, obviously being first time cruiser, you're not getting all the, the first dibs at everything. So I was relying on, I think initially we got a Palo dinner, but we decided, well, we want to kind of experience all the main dining and, so let's really try. I don't know how I ended up getting a Palo brunch, and I ended up with a Remy brunch as well. I got both of those before I walked on that ship. So I would just say constantly checking the app a couple times a day. Like it became a little habit that I had and ended up paying off. So,
I mean, I actually hear stories. I mean, we always say it's impossible. It's not. I actually hear stories about people who just randomly on the app and see a cabana and get it. Like it happens. If you're on there at the right time, it happens. I'm curious, Alex. Did you join your sailing's Facebook group?
I did, and I have mixed feelings. I mean, it was nothing. I didn't. Like there would be somebody that would post something and say, hey, I'm going to drop something, but I would never see, I don't know what the algorithm is. And, it just seemed like every time I saw something, it was gone. But by the time I saw it, there was one time I ended up getting a Remy dessert, and we went into the sailing with a Remy. I had Palo brunch, a Remy brunch, and a Remy dessert booked. When I walked on board that ship.
That's a lot for a 5-night cruise.
Yeah, and for a first timer, so that was pretty impressive, right? But we decided we had to pick between the brunch and the dessert for Remy, and so but that came out of the Facebook group. I think somebody said, "Hey, I'm going to drop this," and I did happen to see that, a week or two before the sailing. A lot of the stuff on the Facebook group just made me want to say to people, hey, go watch this YouTube or go listen to this podcast. Or, they would ask questions that to me at that point seemed kind of like, doesn't everybody know this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is true. There are people who have never sailed and don't know where to ask. And so they just ask in the Facebook group. I would say that's pretty common. You have a lot of, folks asking what you might think are stupid questions. I don't mind stupid questions. There are no like stupid questions except for the ones that you have to check the Disney website for, right? Like I get a little bit crazy when people are asking like, do I need a passport to sail, or do I need
it's not a dumb, it's not that, hold on. It's not a dumb question. It's just a question one ought not outsource to the general public.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Exactly. It's not that the question is a bad question. It's just you're asking in the wrong place, right?
Well,
like I think
someone somewhere was going to be like, well, I got on a ship without a passport.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure it's happened, right? Like,
right.
But it's not recommended.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's also, it really depends on like, are you a U.S. citizen or are you a citizen of a different country? And like, where are you sailing from? And like, so certain questions like are best directed to Disney Cruise Line.
What's your tolerance for risk, right?
Right. I mean, true. Yeah. But yeah, so things like that. I think when people are asking for, does anyone have a recommendation for X, Y, and Z is a great question. Or does anyone know like of a good podcast or a good YouTube or whatever that I can watch to, find out more about X, Y, and Z. So I think those are great questions. But yeah, it's a little frustrating when you get questions asked in some of those groups that are like, please call Disney and ask them, or look on the Disney website about the prohibited items. I mean, those are the ones that always get me.
And look, I'm not affiliated with y'all sponsor or any. I'm not a travel agent, but I will say my travel agent provided me this file, and I asked her, can I share it on the Facebook group? And she said, no, that's just for my clients. Rightfully so. Like she went out of her way to build and create that thing. And, but it was chock full of really good information that I felt like, hey, if there's this resource out there, folks, why not use a travel agent? You might, I'm not sure not all travel agents are created equal, but anyway, that was I felt on the Facebook group lucky I appreciated that I had a lot of good resources ahead of time that I realized, well, a lot of people walk into these, and a lot of those questions came in the last like 3-4 weeks leading. And you're going, wow, I feel like stressed out going on this cruise for the first time. And I have done a lot of research and looked into a lot of this. I can't imagine being somebody who's just thinking of these type of questions 2 weeks before they go on, you know what I mean? So one of the things, speaking of the Facebook group, we did get kind of caught up in the fish extender thing. And, in hindsight, I will say that probably was something that I would not do on a first cruise. And it was one of those, I wanted just to feel like I was part of the club, and I didn't want to be on a ship and miss out on something, and that I think added a little extra stress. Or I would have just done the one that's like, pixie dust, we ended up just doing like a exchange with one other cabin. Thankfully, I didn't get involved with something much more than that. In the future, I don't know if I would do that again, because I think my gifts were better than the ones I got. And then that makes me start thinking, thoughts about, hey, what was the point of this? And I don't want to be in that spot. You know what I mean? Like, I just want it to be a fun thing that we do. And, we give to some people, they give to us. And the one thing I might do is the snack one. I thought that was kind of cool. I saw people giving snacks, like local, like snacks unique to your like hometown or something. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Because how can you go wrong with a snack? You know what I mean?
I know, but what are you going to do? Bring some cheesesteaks with you or something, Alex? I mean, you live in Florida now, but you know what I mean.
No. Yeah. Tasty cake,
tasty something. Cakes. Oh, I love tasty cakes. Oh, the coffee cake, tasty cake.
There you go.
I love that. Yeah. Well, I totally agree with you. For those who don't know, fish extender exchanges are gift exchanges. They are not sponsored or sanctioned by Disney. They are purely guest created and organized activity that happens in the Facebook groups. And the fish extender exchanges are like formal exchanges where you're given a list of like who you're going to exchange with, and it might be themed, it might not be themed. Pixie dust is just acts of random gifting. And so it is something that is a little bit more casual. I completely agree with you, Alex. I think pixie dusting for me is the way to go. And I would say in general for first time cruisers, I understand the FOMO, but I recommend just doing pixie dusting if you feel like you need to be engaged in something, and kind of leaving Fish Extender to later and deciding, is it really something you want to participate in? I do think sometimes you end up getting things that you feel like you put more effort in than others do. And you just don't want that kind of bummer on your cruise. And it just adds that unnecessary stress. Well, let's talk about you guys. I assume we're driving down to Fort Lauderdale from home. Did you drive down? I mean, you live close enough. You don't have to go the night before. Did you go the night before, or did you drive down that morning?
We actually did a 2-night stay at Disney's Vero Beach. So it's kind of about halfway, about 2.5 hours. So we that way the morning of the cruise, we just had to drive 2 hours. So that ended up working really great for us. I would totally recommend Vero Beach. It was beautiful, nice, relaxing. I probably should have done that on the back end of the cruise, just because there was so much anticipation. It was hard to chill there. But other than the fact that we got lit up by like no-see-um bugs and we're like scratching ourselves for the whole cruise, maybe this isn't the best time of year to go to Vero Beach, or I don't know, but
yeah, or you got to like cover yourself in DEET or something.
Yeah, they actually have they have stuff they give it out for free, like the hardcore,
yeah.
But you just catch you off guard. You sit on the balcony for a few minutes in the morning, but before you put anything on, and you're screwed. So.
Yeah. So you drive down from just a couple hours away that morning. What was your port arrival time, and about what time did you arrive at the port?
So I think our port arrival time was 11:40. No, it was 12:15. And which I was pretty happy with. We that was another thing we were trying not like to temper. Okay, we're going to get on the ship. It's not, we don't have to. Although you do start. I had a list of things I wanted to do, and but we and one of the things we didn't know, like from someone driving for a few hours, this is something I put out there. There's a bathroom in the parking garage. Just so people know, I could not find that information anywhere. And we're like, because we made an extra stop, at a grocery store like a couple blocks away, just because we were like, I don't want to, I was imagining we're driving a couple hours, we have to go to the bathroom, and we're going to stand in a line at the port.
Right, and you're going to wait outside.
Yeah, and then it was just a thing. So, by the way, I have two. It was myself, my wife, my two girls, about 12 and 9 with us. So, we just were like, hey, we figure out, how do we go to the bathroom? So anyway, there's a bathroom in the garage for anybody who's wondering.
Yeah, on the bottom floor. It's on the bottom floor of the garage.
Yes.
It's if you get dropped off by transportation, right, or you'll take the Disney bus, if it's not your time to go into the port yet, then the bathroom it's super close. It's just, if you're facing the terminal, standing outside, it is just to your left, and it is just down. It's like, I don't know, not 20 yards or something. It's real close. And so, and it's pretty clean. I mean, it's a public bathroom.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, it worked. So that was, but anyway, so we made a stop. We got there right at about, our arrival time. Everything was super smooth, dropping everything off. We came in though. I don't know if there's like 2 ways to enter that port, but one of the ways, it feels like you're going into some, I'm like, is this where we're supposed to be? It looks like you're entering this like real industrial construction site or something. I mean, there's a sign that says Disney Dream. They have the different, port numbers or whatever, but just wasn't very, very nice looking, but you can make your way through that, and you do get to drive right next to the ship, which is always a really fun. I don't know. We've not sailed out of Port Canaveral, so I don't know what that's like, but just being able to like drive in, and you just get to take in the ship, this, from like ground level, and it's just this moment of like, oh my gosh, we're going to go on that ship, so that was really fun. I mean, my kids were just like, whoa,
it's funny. I forgot you were sailing out of Fort Lauderdale. I'm describing the bathroom at Port Canaveral, because there's this bathroom also in the garage on the bottom floor, but it's about the same. The setup is actually about the same. Yeah. So in my head though, I'm picturing Port Canaveral, but yes, you sailed out of Fort. Yeah. The drive-in at Port Canaveral is a little bit nicer. I mean, you will see the ship and other ships in the distance when you're coming up close. just because you have these like hills for the causeways that you're going over. So it's, so you do get a better view driving to Port Canaveral than you do to Fort Lauderdale. But both are well-oiled machines. Once you get to the terminal, you drop off your bags, you check in, all of that. How long was it to get through the check-in process and get on board? Like, did you have any time where you had to wait, or was it pretty smooth?
I mean, there was a 10-minute line to get up to the counter, where if we were, first-time cruisers had to go through this line, and it looked like there was a lot of first-time cruisers on this sailing. So, and then we, once we got that, there was some question about, can we bring we had like our water bottles filled with water, and we weren't sure if we had to dump those out. You're cool to bring water in your water bottle through, by the way. That was another question that we weren't sure about. We were thinking like airport protocol or something, but they let us through with that. And so then we just waited in the line to take pictures. So the security was a breeze, and then just, got the pictures taken, and then up the stairs to the, through the Mickey thing, and up the stairs to the causeway, or whatever they call it.
Gangway. Yeah. The gangway onto the ship. Yeah. Tell us about the moment your family name is announced. You walk into the beautiful atrium of the Disney Dream.
It was chaos.
That's a good way to
it was chaos.
It.
I'm like, who's saying it? There was, who's going to say what? Who's telling her? Where are we going? It was a little bit of that, and to the point where I'm, and I'm holding a camera. I got like 2 cameras in my hands. I'm like, it was a little bit like, hey, did that just happen? And then next thing you know, there's, you're walking and there's people clapping, and it was just like, whoa. And it was a little chaotic. And then, we're sitting there just kind of taking it all in. And then, you feel kind of like silly standing in the middle of this, atrium, because there's people all around and you don't quite know where to go. As many videos as I've watched, I didn't know which direction to go, so we're sitting there and my wife's like, I'm hungry. Where's the food? So that was the plan, was to figure out what are we going to do. We decided to do the sit down lunch, which was an animator's palette.
Oh, that's a great way to start.
Not huge buffet people to begin with. It was actually one of my like hesitations of cruising, was like the reliance on the buffet.
Well, it's perfect. Then you chose the right cruise line, because Disney Cruise Line has the most limited buffet of all the cruise lines, I would say. And also the cleanest buffet of all the cruise lines. And if I'm not much of a buffet person myself either, so that is, for me, like Disney excels in that area, because even though I don't love Disney's buffets either, but they're still better than other cruise line buffets. So yeah.
My hot take, I guess, I don't know, is just that if I didn't eat anything on that buffet that whole 5 days, that I was not disappointed. Like we ended up picking at the buffet a couple times, but we can get into it later. But I didn't need to eat anything on that buffet to have a great cruise. But to your point, the buffet did look good. I was kind of wishing that like some of like this ship was like the newer ships where they serve the buffet. Like that just makes me feel a little bit better about the sanitation and hygiene and everything. But with that said, even though they don't do that, I never felt like there was ever anything that like you could see them cleaning constantly, and it was very well maintained. So I will say the only thing that kind of was like a bummer about the lunch, the sit down lunch, was that it just took a little bit of time. I'd imagine if we went to the buffet, we probably could have cut some of the time off, and there was just so many other things we wanted to do, getting on that ship, that it did. But it did give us a chance to sit down and open up, all 4 of us. I got the app on the kids' phones, my wife's phone, and we just sort of sat down and got a game plan. Everybody started hearting things. We thought we might have time we thought we might have to wait, for when we got to the, the port, initial space or whatever, but we didn't have to wait at all. We just sort of like, by the time we made it up to the counter, they were calling our number for our boarding group. So the lunch was a nice opportunity, because when you go to a buffet, it feels like half the time you're up getting food, you're not actually sitting down. So this was a nice chance to sit down, and everybody was looking at, all right, what are you excited about? Go through, what do you want to do? What do you, and that was kind of the first time we had to kind of take a breath and look over And again, it was a little bit overwhelming because it's like, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff that we can do.
Yeah. What were, you and I talked a little bit pre-show, and there were a lot of things that you had expectations about because you are such a planner and are such a researcher. And there are some things that were sort of meeting expectations, exceeding expectations, not meeting expectations, right? You've got like this sort of 3 categories of things that I'm curious. I'd love to sort of delve into some of those things, like where you had some kind of expectation because of either something you heard from us or saw on YouTube or saw from other, from influencers, like the number of activities you were going to get to do. Did you have like some idea about how many different activities or which activities you were going to do that was maybe different than what actually happened on board?
For sure. We only did 1 trivia. I thought we were going to do a bunch of trivias. Not that we didn't we liked the trivia. It was just, I didn't think I would be into like adult, like game shows and different things. We did that multiple times. We really enjoyed that. But we also we didn't know if our kids were going to be willing to, do their own thing. So that was something that was just unknown to us. Or our kids, we had one kid in Oceaneers Club, whatever, and then the other was in Edge. So we were a little bit concerned, like, if they were both in the same, group, then that would have been no issue. They would have, taken to each other and gone. But the fact that they were going different places was a little bit, we don't know what to expect,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how much time alone are we going to have? How much time together? That was something that we kind of had some ideas. All right, what do we do if everyone needs to be together? But my oldest daughter, speaking of the Facebook group, they did, there was some ability to connect the kids ahead of time. And that ended up being really cool because my oldest daughter got on the ship and she was like, I got to go meet somebody. And I was like, for real? Okay, let's do it. Like,
see ya, mom and dad. Peace out.
And so she, within, minutes or hour or so of being there, she's trying to figure out, how do I meet this person? Right. And then my other daughter, she goes to Oceaneers Club. Like, I think it was before, at some point during that first day, I don't know, it's all mixed up.
Probably like it might have been, when the open house or something.
Well, we did that. By the way, I know I'm all over the place, but you said the open house. I had no idea. All my research, I had no idea that you had to go like register your kid. Like, I don't know why I missed that, but like just that, like we went to tour it, like on the first day, thinking we were just going to walk through and check it out, and it was like, no, you have to actually get registered, make sure your magic band is hooked up, whatever. So I'm glad we did that. It just took some time. There was a bit of a line for that, the first day.
There's some of it that you can do ahead of time in the app for like when you're doing your check-in, you can do part of the process, but the last part, which is like making sure that pairing the magic band and just verifying the information, you do have to do that little part in person. And that really only exists for Oceaneer Club and Lab, right? For the kids who are 10 and under. For the older kids, there's really nothing. They just register themselves. You don't need to be involved. But yeah, and there's really, like I said, there's really not much. You're verifying that they're in the right age group is all that is. But yeah, there is a step process there. But so she made a friend. I assume the 9-year-old made a friend, right?
Yeah. Well, she goes, the first time she went, she kind of came back and was like, oh, that was boring. There's nothing to do, And we were like, just keep going. She had met somebody ahead of time, but they weren't there or something. So, hey, long story short, the next time she went, she was great. It was like,
she was hooked.
It was awesome. Yeah. So that was something that exceeded my expectations. Obviously that's, I've heard just as many stories of some kids not, taken to it and wanting to be around their parents more. And that's an option. That's great. But for us, it was a pleasant surprise that, like on that first night, our kids left us stranded at dinner. Like, you know what I mean? Like they were like, hey, see ya. Can we go? We're like, okay. And so that happened to be my wife and I's anniversary, like our 18-year anniversary on the embarkation day. So just to have like a few minutes there at the end of the day, to sit together, was, after all the whirlwind of the whole day, Because it was by the way, it was a bad weather day, so they had to do like the sail away party inside, and that kind of put a little bit of a like a damper on it. I mean, it was still fun, but it just wasn't the same, I'd imagine, and just I'd imagine
quite
also
crowded
with
in the atrium.
without the ability of people to disperse out on the top decks. There was like a severe thunderstorm warning, so people weren't even up there. So that made the ship on that first day even more, feel more chaotic. So,
well, embarkation day is definitely chaotic, I think, to start with. It is even chaotic for more seasoned cruisers. So don't feel like you're out of the norm if it's a chaotic day. It is a chaotic day regardless of how many times you've sailed. And then having more people indoors is going to make that feel more so. It's going to be crowded and more chaotic regardless of where you're at on the ship, because as you mentioned, nobody's going to be out on that deck in a thunderstorm warning. So
I will say this, like first impressions of the ship though.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Like,
yeah.
I don't know one of the things I wrote down that I wanted to mention was that for some reason I felt like getting on the Dream, I was getting on like the lowest ship of the fleet. Like hear me out for a second. Like there's all this love for the brand new stuff, right? And rightfully so. And then there's this like kind of like nostalgic, admiration of the older ships, right? And then people tend to seem to go, well, they like the Fantasy better than the Dream. So I'm doing all that calculation going, man, I picked like the worst Disney ship to get on.
You
right?
picked like the middle child that nobody likes.
Exactly. And so, no, getting on there, I just felt like all that just left. Like any apprehension that I was getting on some, second class ship or something in the Disney fleet just evaporated within like moments of walking on that ship, to be honest with you. And I don't know what it is, but I don't know if anybody else gets this, but like the Treasure and the Wish look better online. Like, I don't know if I don't know if they designed those ships knowing that people were, in a social media age and everything, or it's just but for some reason, the Dream, the other ships, they look a little more, I don't know, something about it.
It's the atrium, because the grand hall on the Wish and the Treasure is so much grander. It's open. Because you don't have that extra elevator bank in the middle. Like, it just creates for a more picturesque picture. And I'll be honest, when you have things that have to happen in the atrium, like when you have a celebration, like a sail away party that has to be moved into the atrium, I'll be honest, you do want to be on the Wish or the Treasure, because it is more spread out. It will still be crowded. It will still be crazy crowded. They have it, the sort of farewell thing at the end of the cruise. It's crazy crowded, and it's called Treasure Found on the Treasure. But so there are times where it's crazy crowded in those spaces too. But because they're more grand, I mean, they're much, much bigger. Like, we're talking like 3 times the size of what you have in the atrium on the older ships, all 4 ships. That's, I think, really the difference. I don't think they're any more beautiful. I think all the ships are beautiful. And to be perfectly honest, there is no second class ship in the Disney fleet. All of the ships in the Disney fleet are first class, and they are all like above and beyond what you will see on other cruise lines. I don't care what you're comparing them to. They are more beautiful and better maintained as a general matter than cruise lines in the rest of the industry.
I don't think you compare the Dream and the Fantasy to like Icon of the Seas or.
I mean, when she's brand new, maybe, but not.
I just let's be clear. I agree with you that all of Disney's ships are well maintained. They all have their own unique experience, and they're all worth sailing on. But I would just be careful that they're all better than everything else that's out there. I don't think that's true.
Listen, I just mean they're all better taken care of, and they're all beautiful and clean, and all have something amazing to offer, right? That doesn't mean that there aren't some great things out there that other cruise lines are doing, but I will tell you, you go onto those ships like a year or 2 after they've been sailing, and they don't look the same as when they were brand new. And Disney keeps up their ship and all their ships in a way that no other cruise line does.
Are you listening to our show because you want to make the most out of your next vacation? Great news, the fabulous team over at My Path Unwinding Travel can help guide you so you don't miss a thing. Their team of professional travel advisors are caring, knowledgeable, and experienced. It's why we use them to book our own travel. My Path Unwinding Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner, which means they are recognized by Disney for their expertise and service. They have sailed on all the Disney ships, including in concierge, visited the theme parks, adventured with Disney, relaxed at Aulani, and so much more. Whether it's a Disney cruise, a theme park vacation, or Adventures by Disney, or if you are looking to expand beyond the mouse, My Path Unwinding Travel will elevate your next vacation planning experience. Even if you have already booked, reach out for a complimentary consultation to make your vacation even more magical. Ready to talk to the experts? Head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo or email dclduo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. Thanks, My Path Unwinding, for sponsoring today's show. Now back to the episode.
I want to jump over to some of your favorites. You mentioned you planned on doing a lot of trivia. You only did one trivia. You didn't think you'd be, able to do a lot of the adult only activities. You ended up doing, more of them than you thought. What were some favorite activities that you got up to on board, whether with the kids or without the kids?
My wife and I absolutely loved Majority Rules and Match Your Mate. Those were super. And then we had a magician comedian on there, Chipper Lau, I think his name was, who has a bit of a Disney like story, which was pretty cool. And he was like the variety act, I guess, on the fourth night, right? Or like he was on the first night in the main like theater, right? But he did an adult only session, in whatever the name of that. Forget the name of the place there, in the back.
Not the tube, but the other one.
Yeah. Evolution.
Yeah. Evolution, yeah. He did a thing in there, and that was my favorite thing. That one of my favorite things we did on board. I mean, it was just phenomenal. Like he was pretty good in the main theater, but like being able to be in a smaller setting with adults only, the crowd interaction. I mean, it was like a magic show mixed with comedy, and he had long drawn out like kind of sketches or whatever that really he was able to keep your attention and tie it back. And it was just really, really well done. So that was a pleasant surprise. We did another game show thing. I forget the name of it. We did the Jack Jack's diaper dash. My kids loved that. That was a really fun family type thing we did. What else did we do on the ship? My kids really enjoy just going around every day and getting the little charms, that they give out in the jewelry store. That was pretty cool. My one daughter and I on the sea day, my youngest one, we did the. I found out that my two kids did the midship detective without us, like they did that by themselves, which I was like on my list. I wanted to do that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm glad you guys got to doing that. Like you don't need dad to kind of tell you what to do or show you how to do everything. I guess they figured it out on their own. I don't remember ever telling them about it. Like it was just something I was going to like show them one day, but they found it on their own. And but
they saw other kids doing it at the screen.
I guess so.
Right?
Yeah.
They just see the other kids and they're like, where do I get one of these things? They probably asked another kid, where do I get that thing? Yeah. And how do I do this? And then they just go do it. Right. Did you end up doing it yourself then?
Yeah. My youngest and I on the sea day, we were going to go to the pool, but we're just not pool deck people. It's not our vibe, and it was pretty crowded. So we just decided, well, let's find something else to do. She's like, oh, we can do the other case that I didn't solve. And so we kind of went around and did that. That was a lot of fun.
Well, I want to ask you about your port stops because as we mentioned, you went to both Castaway and you went to Lookout and you went to Nassau as well. I know you had a plan for Nassau that didn't quite pan out as you had, I think, hoped. But I'd love to get some of your thoughts about, Castaway and Lookout. You heard a lot about them ahead of time, both good probably and bad. I wonder what your impressions of the two islands and what you liked about each one, what you maybe didn't like about each one.
Well, to put the conclusion out first, I guess, my family all agreed that we liked Lookout better. And listen, I said, because I was just going through the videos this morning that I took, Castaway was first and then Lookout, right? So I said when I was leaving Castaway, can I stay here overnight? Like, can, like this is a 1,000 out of 10. Like I was like, that's how much I loved Castaway when I was, and let me tell you something about Castaway for a second, because Castaway has too much. See, a lot of people say there's not enough to do on Disney islands. And I'm sure, like, I don't need a water park because I live in Florida. I can go to water parks. I don't need stuff that other places have. And maybe some people that's really great. But, for us, honestly, there was too much to do. And we got the, like, I don't know what's called, getaway package or something. I was supposed to do like the snorkeling, the bike riding, And we ended up never doing the snorkeling. Like we just didn't have time to do the snorkeling. Not that we didn't want to. It was just that was the thing that got left out, right? And I don't know. My wife's not a huge like biking person, so I don't know if we would rent the bikes again. My kids kind of lost interest in that. They just wanted to stay in the water. Like they love those little floaty things. They just wanted to play in the water. My wife just wanted to sit there, read her book. we got off fairly early, and we went past all the like picture stuff. We were like, no, let's just go find a spot. We'll come back. I think we kind of overestimated how
far
we were going.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. So we ended up going all the way. There's this like cool spot between like a bar, like the last bar and like the cabanas section. At that point, I don't know, it was like 9:30 or so. Nobody was there. We were some of the first people to get there. So it all filled in, pretty quickly. So I was glad that we kind of did that. And then we were like, let's go get the bikes and we'll ride the bikes up to get our pictures taken. Well, they don't let you ride the bikes to get.
Oh, they don't let you go past.
Yeah, you have to have it, the bikes within a certain. So there was just some things that we were like, kind of were figuring out, like, and then we did end up taking the tram back. Thankfully, we made it there just as they were closing. Like the one guy was about to like put his, gear away because we wanted to get some of those like iconic like pictures, of the ship and the Castaway sign and stuff, so we were able to
they do close those relatively early.
Yeah, it was like 11 a.m. I think they close them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was not something we were expecting. We figured they'd be doing that majority of the day, which is, I'm glad we asked somebody like, hey, when do those, like I just happened to see like a photo pass person walking by, and he pulled out like a little crumpled up piece of paper and had all the times on it. And so, that was cool. But yeah, no, Castaway was amazing. My family ended up deciding after we kind of, we had lunch, we hung out, we did the Pelican plunge thing. We did pretty much everything. Right. And they decided, well, we're kind of beat. We're going to go back. I'm like, you guys don't want to do the snorkeling thing? They were like, no, we don't have enough juice to do the snorkeling, at this point. So I'm a runner, and I'm like, all right, well, I was about to just give up on this 5K thing, but since you all are leaving and it's only like 2:30, I could be here for another 2 hours, right? I'm going to do the 5K, right? So I did the 5K. I'm glad I went and asked, because like the people that were giving the medals out, like they gave me the medal before I did the 5K, because they were like, we're probably not going to be here when you get done. But so I did the 5K. That was, pretty nuts, but it was fun. I got a kick out of that. I went and I toured around the Serenity Bay area as well. So and then when I got done that run, it might've been around 3:30. Nobody was on that island. Nobody.
Oh yeah. It does, especially if it's hot out, like if it's a kind of, you were at the beginning of June, but even by then it's pretty hot down in the Bahamas. And so people tend to head back to the ship a little bit early in that time of year in particular.
I'm telling you, I don't want anybody to like take the secret, but I'm staying until the end. Because it was, after that run, I went in that water. There was nobody there. I felt like I was on my own private island. It was amazing. It was my own little moment of zen. And, and what funny story is, my wife, because they went back ahead of me, she ended up getting a phone call from guest services like, where's your husband? I'm like, or something like that. Right. Like, and I guess what happens is, I don't know if this has happened to anybody, but like it was getting late and they just wanted to check, am I still on the island? Like, right. Or did I somehow get in and didn't get scanned or something? Like,
yeah.
So I'm getting a text from her going, hey, I've got a phone call. Are you okay? You're going to make it back? Right. I'm like, look, I'm here. Nobody's, they're not leaving me. I did some shopping. I took some pictures with my medal. I got my like 5K running shirt. I did all that, I did all that stuff. And I was proud of the fact that I was the third to last person to get back on the boat. There was only 2 more people on the island after, because I asked the guy, when I was walking on, I'm like, because I'm feeling a little bit like I might be the last one here. Is there anybody else? He's like, yeah, there's 2 other people. I was like, oh, darn. But anyway, no, listen, Castaway was amazing. That's the expectation that Lookout had to go up against, you know what I mean? And then, we get to Lookout the next day. And I mean, to me, Lookout was just, the natural beauty was just off the charts. I mean, it's just, I don't know how to explain it. Like the beach, I've traveled, I've been in some beautiful beaches in the Caribbean and Central America. And that's I was in Barbados. I think that beats the beaches I was on there. I mean, it was those cliffs there that they have. And I mean, it was just, we ended up going all the way to the right side. I think there was like a kind of right before it ends almost, I guess, like where there's no more like umbrellas and stuff. And I was shocked because we were so beat from Castaway that we were like, we are not rushing off the ship like to rope drop this thing today. Like we're just not doing that, So we kind of slept in a little bit. We went to sit down breakfast, and so we didn't get on the island until 10:30. And even then, by the time I get there, there was nobody over there. There's this bar there, and bunch of chairs, bunch of umbrellas, and nobody's there. And I'm going, this is crazy. Why isn't anybody here? But it was like our own private, and my kids just wanted to stay. I say, hey, you want to go check out the water park thing or whatever they have there, the splash thing with the slides, rush out. They had no interest. They just wanted to stay in that ocean. And I was happy to join them. My wife just enjoyed reading her books and drinking, having a drink with whatever bar was there, some nice, pina coladas or whatever we were drinking, so it was just a nice day of just relaxing. We missed, I wanted to check out the what's the thing called?
The Junkanoo. Yeah.
Junkanoo.
Yeah.
We never did that. We just never found a time. We just didn't have the time. I don't know. We just wanted to stay. We couldn't get out of that water, I will say the one negative. So like the lunch to me on, Castaway and Lookout were like pretty much the same. And so the downside of going to back is it's like, there was some nice like rice dish that they had at Lookout that's all I ate, because everything else I was like, I just had this yesterday and I don't really want to eat another burger.
I'll tell you the secret that you have at Lookout. They always have the spicy chicken sandwich, which you only have at Castaway when you go on day 2. So
yeah, if you go twice to Castaway. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I think the rice is the way.
And they have French fries.
Yeah, but I do think the rice is the way. The rice is the way to go, because those are they're different and they're more like with some local flavor and all of that.
Yeah.
It sounds like, listen, I couldn't like disagree with you. I feel like Lookout is incredible. Castaway is incredible. Like it's amazing that they're so different from one another, but also both such like amazing private island experiences. I want to jump back on the ship and ask about food. I want to ask about, main dining food. You mentioned the buffet to you was sort of like, you could never eat at that buffet again and you'd be perfectly happy. So I'm not going to dwell on that. But I'm curious what you thought about main dining food and the experiences in main dining as well. And then of course we'll have to ask you a little bit about Palo brunch and Remy brunch as well.
So just to put a close on the buffet thing, I did have to try the churro Mickey waffles, right? And I'm just gonna say, this is my hot take: is they're overrated. That's me. Like, okay, I don't know what it is.
Ryan, I think we have to end this recording right now. No,
nope. We just got we got a new Disney.
A new villain.
Josh, your status is in question now as a Disney Cruise Line villain. There you go.
Listen. I'll take that on. I'll handle that moniker if need be. But we go to Nomad Lounge in Animal Kingdom, and those churros there are better than the churro waffles. I'm just going to say that. That's my thing.
Okay, we're going to have to go to Nomad to do that.
Lounge.
I have tried to get you to go to Nomad Lounge, Sam. It's one of my favorite spots.
I just love Satuli. That's the problem. I love Satuli Canteen.
So anyway, that was and listen, I even went to like every station on the buffet and I got a waffle from each one just to make sure I got the freshest,
For
like,
science.
hot. Yes, I did a test, and then the one that I liked, I sampled them all, and then I got a plate of them. I got a plate of them and took them back to the room for my family. And we like them. I would eat them if they were there, but it was all the hype and everything. Yeah. I was like, no, I would. The thing, anyway, that's that. As far as main dining goes, like I said, there was, I really enjoyed the main dining. I will say, so I think it was better than like banquet food, right? So I went in and I said, that's what I'm going to set my expectation. I'm like, I used to work, years ago at, country clubs and things, serving banquets. I'm like, I'm just going to assume it's at least, right? And for the most part, it was better than that. I don't know if we just got a rough serving team. Like, I did not experience any of the like our servers were good. But there was no like magic or special or anything like that. And I've heard stories, and and it was okay. It wasn't like anything was, I didn't get to know them. They didn't really take. And here's, I think, what it was is our main server, that was her last cruise, and she told us she was getting off, like at the end of that cruise she was leaving. And then the assistant server was like 2 weeks brand new. And so that combination, I think, it's what it was. Now the head server, Ibrahim, I think was his name, he was fantastic, right? And we got to sit with him and get to know him a little bit, talked about his family, and he whatever. So he was amazing. But I just didn't get that kind of like service that I had heard some people would get from the dining team there. So, and there was never like my drinks were waiting for me. I didn't get any of that. So that was a little bit of a letdown,
Yeah.
So
it is very server dependent. I think in general, like Disney does a good job with training, and they do find some really great people, but that doesn't mean that everybody is great. Not everybody is a great server. And in your situation, you had, yes, sort of the just a clash of like experiences, right? Like the person who's about to get off is not really like your tip for her is not going to make or break her season, and the new person is just like getting their feet under them, and so they're not gonna like be at the point where they can like really spend time and joke with you and get to know you. So yeah, that makes sense. Let's turn
just
over
real
to
quick, some highlights from the food there. I did really enjoy the pasta percettes.
Yes.
I
not
asked for a second.
Status. There we go. Yeah.
I asked for a second plate of those, so those were spot on. That wasabi, like mashed potatoes, and this
with
that
the
whole
tenderloin
animators thing, that was good. And then what's the Royal Court?
The
Palace,
Chateaubriand. Yeah.
The Chateaubriand.
Yeah.
We all get to try the escargot. I've never had that before. My kids tried it. My wife, so we all enjoyed that. That was good. So that there was some really highlights. There was never a meal that I was like, I don't like. There was one. You all talked about some kind of sea bass at Enchanted Garden. There's no sea bass on the menu anymore.
They have been testing some other menus and rotating some other menus through. And so that may be what you had. You may have had an alternate menu instead of the standard rotation.
Because I got what looked like it was similar to what the sea bass was. And that was my least favorite thing I had from main dining. It wasn't, I was like, and it was just like a little overcooked. It was like a different kind of fish. Anyway, that wasn't like unedible. It was just not my favorite, So my wife's like, what did she get? Prime rib was better, So, but a lot of really good things out of main dining. So I was really happy.
I'd love to hear what you thought of Palo brunch and Remy brunch. We of course love dining at Palo and Remy on or in Enchanté on the ships, although we don't necessarily do it every single time. We do Palo every time. We don't do Enchanté or Remy every time. But curious what you thought of the value and what you thought of the food quality and the experience.
So food quality off the chains. Like I just thought everything we ate at Palo and Remy was fantastic. All the stuff at Palo lived up pretty much. The almond croissant was amazing. The eggs Benedict, the grape and gorgonzola pizza, the lasagna. My wife really loved the lasagna. The chicken parm. I'm a big chicken parm. I'm a Northeast guy who, used to work at an Italian restaurant, and chicken parm was like my go-to Friday night thing, and that was probably the best chicken parm I've ever had.
That's high praise. That's high praise from someone from the Philly area. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that was, Palo was, now, again, we had a brand new server at Palo. So I felt like the service, I literally watched like a table next to us get like what I would consider to be higher quality service than we did. So I don't think it was bad service. It was just, you could tell, okay, this guy is new, so we did enjoy, that was at Nassau. So we did enjoy like watching the ship across from us replace a window during brunch. Like, it was kind of like, well, this is an interesting view. We're just going to stare at this other ship, like Remy, we were on the sea day. So Remy had the superior view, right?
Right. So you're staring at the ocean. You can't have an ocean view when you're in the dock, right?
Right. So, but, with that said, there was this like little operation going on across the way of the, a window replacement. So that kind of entertained us for a little bit there.
What did you think of Remy? And I assume you guys are foodies if you decided to do Remy, because, being someone who obviously researches everything, like, that if you're a really picky eater, you just probably shouldn't go to Remy or Enchante. I hate saying that because like I think it's so good, but you really have to be willing to be adventurous. And so if you're really not adventurous, I just say don't. It would be a waste of money. You'll probably end up disappointed. But I assume you and your wife are adventurous eaters, and what did you think?
My wife and I, we do, I mean, we would never, like, that's not having kids, we don't have family real close, so we don't often get out to do that kind of stuff, but, in the past, we would, and I thought Remy was the superior, if I had to do it again, I probably would choose Remy over Palo. That's just, because it's more Palo is like just a really solid restaurant, like that you would want to go to like on every weekend. Remy is the place you would go. It was our anniversary. Like, let's do that. And it's not something we would normally do. And I really love the fact that they, you don't have to make any decisions. You just, do you want the champagne thing or not? Do you want, do you have any allergies or like, like they'll revise it. If you're not a fish eater, they'll change the menu a little bit. They did tell us that, but I like the idea of just going somewhere and, here's what you're going to get. And it's an experience and everything comes out. You get the story, the backstory. This salmon came from this part of the world and it's only like, one in blah, blah, blah. And then, and that service at Remy was top notch. We did the champagne pairing and I looked up like, cause I'm not a huge drinker. So I just don't love going out somewhere and thinking, well, I could get that bottle of wine for the price of one glass. You know what I mean? Like, but the Remy stuff was legitimately like a good value. I thought like, I'm not going to typically go out and buy a $75 bottle of wine, or champagne. So that just the whole experience and the dessert there was fantastic. And there was a beef dish, Wagyu beef or something that was amazing. It was just, my wife, she doesn't like salmon. I try to cook salmon at home and she doesn't, she's not a huge fan, but they served this salmon dish and she even said like that was the best like fish I've ever had. Like, and that's from somebody who doesn't like salmon, so Remy was top notch. I mean,
well, Sam and I are going to reverse roles here on this show because she asked you all about food and I'm going to ask you all about shows. So did you make it to the shows on board?
Oh yeah.
And what'd you think?
Man, shows were amazing. We're Disney people. We have a background in music and entertainment. And so they were top notch. All three of them, honestly. I know people make fun of Golden Mickeys and what's the other one called? Believe.
Yeah. You had Believe on because you're on the Disney Dream, so they don't have the show Disney Dreams. They have the show Believe.
So Believe. I mean, it was all of them were fantastic.
And you have Beauty and the Beast too.
Beauty and the Beast, Beauty and the Beast was top notch. The perfect cast for that. Everything went off without a hitch. Thankfully, I've heard of different technical difficulties at times. We didn't experience any of that. I thought the shows were fantastic. My kids loved them. I wish we could teach other people theater etiquette somehow, but I figured, you know what, you probably get people on a Disney cruise that wouldn't normally go to a Broadway show or something. So that's it's a great opportunity to experience that, but you also have to sacrifice a little bit of, we did rope drop, I guess, or whatever, the Beauty and the Beast show. We went there like 45 minutes to an hour early, just because I was like, that was the last show of the week. So I'm like, I got to get good seats for that, because I had kind of not the best experiences with the other two shows. So that ended up being the best situation. So that was good.
Yeah. If you're going to rope drop a show on the Dream, Beauty and the Beast is the one to rope drop. No question. No question. Especially with the special effects and stuff. Now that you can't see from anywhere in the theater, you can, it's decent, but it's such a wonderful show, and it's worth the wait, for sure. Now, I wouldn't say that about every show, but that one's worth the wait.
Well, is there anything we missed here, Alex, that we haven't talked about that you want to be sure to highlight from the cruise?
I'm just saying you can't do everything. I mean, we did so much. There's so much I didn't talk about. We did the Royal Gathering. My kids loved that. That was really cool. I mean, there was but there was a lot of stuff. Like, we never went to the spa. I never even looked at the spa. I don't know what it looks like. I wanted to tour it on the first day. I never got there. We never played mini golf. We never did half the trivias we wanted to do. We did see Lilo and Stitch at, listen to this, 8:25, 8:30 in the morning on the sea day. I mean, that's how crazy the schedule was. It was like the only time left we could fit in the movie, because my daughter's favorite character is Stitch, and it was like, we got to see this movie. It just came out. We got to see it on this ship. And it was the only time that we could fit it in was 8:30 on the sea day. And I'm like, what am I doing at 8:30 on the sea day watching a movie? Like, in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. So you just
before
can't.
Brunch,
Yeah, it was exactly. It was wild. I mean, there was. We tried. I had a whole thing planned for Nassau. The weather wasn't the best, and we didn't. We'll just get there some other time. My kids were funny. They got off the ship and they were just like, take us back. We want to go back on this ship. It was their first time in like another country, so that was which is really important for us, but for them it was just they just weren't into the whole. We went to the straw market, and they didn't like all the intimidating pressure that there is in that, so they really wanted to go back. And with the weather being the way it was, we only spent an hour in Nassau that day, so there was just so much we couldn't do. And I in hindsight, I planned this trip like I was never going to get on a cruise ship ever again. And that was kind of a mistake, because I should have just been like, let's just pick some things and trust that we're going to like this and we're going to, and we're going to do more and maybe taking a slower pace, because we're morning people, and yet you feel like there's so much to do. So you stay up until midnight, and then I'm like, I want to watch the sunrise. I'm on the ocean. Like, let me get, so what am I got slept like 5 hours a night most nights. You know what I mean? So we're probably going to move to like early dining next time. We had late dining this time. That's just more our thing. I don't know. Like, there's some things that we're trying to figure it out still. But, ultimately we was like, well, we planned this whole thing like we're never going to cruise again. And I think that was a mistake. I think we should have just been like, you know what? This is going to be one of many,
Yeah. It's very hard though, I think, going in, because you don't know and it's like, I can't tell you, Alex, what you're going to like, right? Like, I can tell you what I like. I can tell you, like, have, pick some priorities.
Tell me constantly what I like.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but I know you. But I can order at a restaurant for you easy. I have a few friends like that where, not just Brian, but a few people where I could go to a restaurant and order for them, and I know that they would be happy with what I ordered for them. But like, I can't, there is not one way of cruising that works for everybody. And because I like something doesn't mean everybody else is going to like something, even though they should. But the best advice I can give people is just, if you have some must-dos, make those your priority and try and like be okay with the fact that you're not going to be able to do everything. So if everything is on your must-do list, you're gonna not maybe enjoy your vacation as much as you would if you pared down that list to something a little bit more realistic. And that doesn't mean, I mean, maybe you'll get on a different ship the next time, but there'll be plenty to do every time, and there's so many wonderful activities to engage in. And the good part is you can pivot when you're on the cruise because very few things need reservations. So like, for example, the trivia versus the adult game shows, right? Like very easy to realize, oh, well, there's so many other things I want to do. I'm not going to be able to make it to trivia, but I found something else I really enjoy or enjoy even more, right? So I think as long as you have that bit of flexibility in you, you can have a really amazing cruise. But the FOMO is real.
Yeah, we got to the last day and it was Beauty and the Beast, and we went to the show with our bathing suits on because I told my kids we hadn't yet rode the Aqua Mouse. Like, I'm like, the time is running out, So we ended up, there was a little bit of an hour between the show and dinner, so
As
we went
ran the Aqueduct and
we wanted the Aqueduct, the Aqueduct,
yeah,
and we were, it was great. I mean, my kids, it was. We almost, if I was on a longer cruise, I would have said forget the main dining room because there was nobody at the pool. We went on the slide multiple times. There wasn't much of a line, and but it was like Royal Palace, and we really liked that menu, and we were like wanted to, so it was just that was like, I want a longer cruise so I don't have to feel the need to. That's the only way to solve this problem is just do a long. And I heard y'all say that,
Yeah, the one problem with the longer cruises, guess what, Alex? There's just more to do.
Well, Alex, it sounds like an amazing cruise. We could probably talk for another hour about it, but I think we've reached that point in the show where I need to hand you back over to Sam for some arbitrary questions, some arbitrary rules, and a dash of judgment of the round we know as rapid fire. So, Sam, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Brian. All right, Alex, you knew this was coming. We are going to ask some Disney favorites, or I'm going to ask some Disney favorites and then some Disney Cruise Line favorites. But we're going to start with your favorite ship is the Disney Dream. That question is taken care of because you can only choose a ship that you have been on. And it sounds like you had an amazing time on the Dream anyway. All right. Well, let's start with who is your favorite Disney character. And Disney means everything and anything that Disney owns, which is almost everything in the whole world. So you're basically choosing your favorite character from everything.
Yeah, I know this is rapid fire. I could go like Jack Sparrow or Genie or Captain Hook, or how about Mandalorian as my current?
Ooh, I like that one.
Or Yoda. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place.
You didn't answer Cassian Andor though. Cassian is like, I mean, anyway. Well, we'll table that. You have a lot of favorites. All right.
Yeah.
Favorite Disney movie.
Again, I have like two eras. Do I go with like Aladdin or Peter Pan or Toy Story, or more recent, honestly, like Frozen and Frozen 2 are like really like, because the Frozen came out right when my daughter was born.
Yeah.
And then Frozen 2 just hit at a time that it was like actually a really deep movie. But I also really love like WALL-E and Up and some of the I like some of the deeper
Pixar
movies,
stuff. Yeah. Love all of those.
I know.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm hitting.
That's all right. Give me a song or two, a favorite Disney song.
Well, here, this one, I'll just give you one. So my favorite song is Happily Ever After.
Oh, yeah.
Just, and I know other people have said that, but I mean,
it is
for a Parks fan, and that's got like 4 years of history with my family. So
I love that. All right, we're gonna move on to the ship. What was your favorite show on the Walt Disney stage? You can't pick The Magician, even though I know you said The Magician Comedian is really wonderful, but you have to pick from like one of the Disney stage shows. So you've got 3 choices. Which one is the best? There's really only one right answer. Please give it to me, Alex.
Listen, as much as I like Believe, I have 2 daughters, and I've burned out in my life at one point. The whole message there was on point. It made me cry.
Yeah.
The Beauty and the Beast was definitely the best.
Yeah. Thank you. Whew. Okay. I mean, between your hot take on
wait. One more thing though. I do have a hot take on Beauty and the Beast. Okay. And I don't know what the correct forgive me if I'm not like up on what came first, the live action or the musical or in Broadway. I don't like. The song Evermore. You know what I'm talking about? That needs to be in that. Like the fact that wasn't in there, that's like, I love that song. And I just, and that guy's voice was perfect. That the actor, he would have nailed that song. And I'm like, it was just 3 minutes. Just give me the song. It's such an amazing song.
They really cut those shows to really fit in that hour to hour and 15-minute time. Yeah. And it's hard. There's some really lovely stuff that they end up cutting. But yeah, I love that. All right. Great answer. Okay. Favorite onboard activity?
I think I would go with the adult game shows, like the Match Your Mate. What was the other thing I mentioned?
Majority Rules.
Rules. Yeah, that was just.
Did you go to Pop? Pop is another fun one.
No, we didn't go to Pop. There was one other one. I forget the name of it, but those were real. Those and that team that did that was really good.
Oh yeah,
their entertainment team. Yeah,
awesome. All right, favorite rotational dining.
Ooh, it's definitely between Animators and Royal. Yeah. I think the Persettes might push me over the edge for Animators.
Nice. I love that. All right.
But we weren't really like the Crush thing. Maybe my kids were just a little, I don't know, maybe where we were seating wasn't.
Yeah.
It didn't hit us like it wasn't that was a little bit of a letdown, the Crush thing. I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Food. We got to talk a sweet item and a savory item. We're going to start with a favorite sweet item because I saved the best for last and the best is savory items. So tell me a favorite sweet item, apparently not churro waffles, but on the cruise. It could be anywhere. It could be from in adult dining or main dining.
Yeah. I think there was this, hazelnut dessert at Remy that was just fantastic. I could have eaten like 10 of those things, and they only give you one that's like this big. But
yeah.
I could have. That was so good.
Was that the Palo? It looked like a candy bar kind of a thing.
Yeah, like almost like an eclair almost.
Yeah.
And it's got this hazelnut cream in it. Oh man, and the pastry was so perfect, and the cream. Oh, it was, and they served it with like a side of orange, blood orange sorbet. It was just
yum.
Now I'm kind of wanting to do that Remy dessert thing. So
yeah, nice. All right, a favorite savory item.
I'm gonna go with either the Palo chicken parm. I think would win on that one.
Yeah. That's a great one. Love that. All right. My last question is, what is your bucket list cruise? If you could sail anywhere in the world on a Disney Cruise Line ship, and it doesn't even have to be someplace that Disney Cruise Line currently sails, where would you sail, Alex?
Well, I think my wife, literally day 2, she goes, we need to do this like longer. So she was all on board for like a transatlantic or something, like 2 days into the. Now my family is from Croatia. My dad is from Croatia. And I really would like to do an Adriatic Sea. Like, I actually saw one they're doing next year, I think,
Adventures
or this year.
By Disney does.
No, there's actually is there a
cruise that
there's actually a 9-night cruise next summer that hits Dubrovnik, Croatia. But I would love to do more of that area and like Montenegro, and I've seen other cruise lines do that, and I just. That would kind of be on my list.
Well, that sounds incredible. Alex, congratulations. You passed with flying colors.
So, Alex, what I always like to ask is, what's next? Did you get the all-important onboard placeholder? It sounds like you might have already been visiting the website to look at sailings for next summer. So, anything you're eyeing?
Yeah, well, we did get the placeholder, and that Europe sailing is a little bit beyond our reach right now. I'm a school teacher, and I'm trying to, but we do have a treasure sailing booked. It's just not until September of next, like 2026. So it's to open the thing, and it's 400 and some days or whatever. I don't know what to do with myself, So I keep looking at maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll jump on I don't know, maybe one of these, benefit of living in Florida is you can kind of get on a 4-night, last minute, so maybe something between now and then. jumps at us and we can pull the trigger on it. I've been eyeing a couple, like my daughter's a huge Rapunzel fan. I'd love to get on the Magic, I'm also looking at other cruise lines. I don't know. Is that okay, guys? Am I allowed to do that?
You're allowed to.
Oh, come on, Sam. We're going on Virgin Voyages and
I know. We're going in a couple weeks. I know. No, you're allowed to, but I will tell you that, but like the Magic, Rapunzel's Royal Table and Tangled both being on the Magic, that could, if your daughter really loves Rapunzel, like that's a really good pick. I mean, and I think I've said this before, besides the Treasure, I think the Magic has the best lineup of shows, altogether. And so, so I don't think you can't miss with any of the Disney ships. And frankly, there are other cruise lines that are doing some great stuff out there too.
Yeah. Well, and just keep your eye out, because I have a feeling that we will see more discounted sailings on Disney Cruise Line as we go forward here, just because of all of the additional capacity they're adding into the fleet. And, frankly, if you're willing to head down to Fort Lauderdale as you did this time, that is a place where they've just never quite been able to dial in full ships all the time. So those Florida resident rates tend to pop up down there. And we're even seeing the summer sale, 30% off a short sailing on the Wish, those kinds of things. So yeah, I think you'll find some opportunities to save a little cash and still get on Disney Cruise Line. So I'd say keep your eyes.
That's kind of my thinking. I mean, I keep looking at some Royal stuff, but I don't know. It's just, I watch videos on the Utopia. I could go on the Utopia for half the price of the Wish for 4 nights. And it's just like, I don't know. It doesn't feel right to me.
It will be a totally different cruise experience. I will not pretend that it's not. I think each of these cruise lines has their place. And I think we're going on Royal in April, like a year from now, for spring break. Because it was less expensive than going on a Disney cruise, and we just, we wanted to go back and give it another shot. So yeah.
I will tell you, Alex, we have a little bit of regret about that. We're like kind of wishing we had booked the Treasure again.
I have no regret. I have no regret about that. I would love to find my way back on the Treasure, but it's fun. Remember,
we have a good time on Royal.
It reminds us why we like Disney. So, it's not like a bad cruise. We're like, oh, I hate Royal and I've got to get back.
No, it's a good vacation. It's a different vacation.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah. Very different. So anyway. Yeah.
Well, it's just, I look at like that and I'm like, I love like deck 4 on the ship. And I don't see that on that Utopia, like that type of vibe where you can just go sit on deck. I mean, it almost feels like they don't have enough viewing, like that you're on doesn't feel like you're on a ship half the time. I don't know.
Yes, that is true. That? Other than on the top deck, you don't feel
it's more like a floating Vegas hotel. That's really what
maybe that's why it doesn't jive with me. We've never really been Vegas type people. So, but, and my math goes, hey, if I'm going to spend $2,000 on this, why not put that toward
right.
The thing I actually want to do. Now my wife goes, but because you're not going to just spend $2,000, you're going to spend $4,000, so I don't know.
All right, Alex, before we wrap up, did you want to share with folks how they can find and connect with you and your fun travel adventures?
Yeah, we just working through some video edits for YouTube now. You can look up Just Kids Grown Up on YouTube, Instagram, Just Kids Grown Up. So we're kind of taking that, line from Disney that adults are just kids grown up. So
yeah, I love that.
Kids grown up. Yeah,
I'm gonna start following you right now. I'm excited to see your videos and what you put out there.
Alex, it's been a blast chatting with you. It's been great catching up with you and hearing more about your cruise. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with our audience and share your experience with them. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. I look forward to connecting in the future and meeting people and hearing from y'all. It's been fun.
Well, thanks to everyone out there for listening this week. We really, really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can keep getting great content from us every week. In fact, twice a week we publish shows. So be sure to hit the subscribe button to get all of those great episodes. And if you want to watch us live, we have a live show now every week, Monday nights, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern over on youtube.com/DCLDuo. So be sure to head over and check that out. If you want to help support the show, be sure to hit those 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you leave us a written review, a 5-star written review, we will read it at the top of one of our main episodes. So please head over there and hit those 5 stars. Of course, you can also help support the show by supporting our fabulous show sponsor, My Path Unwinding Travel. If you want to book your next Disney vacation, head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCLDuo or email them at DCLDuo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. If you've got questions or you'd like to connect with us, the best way to do that is to head over to DCLDuo.com. It's got links to all of our things, full catalog of the podcast episodes, including a searchable catalog for the podcast, links off to our vlog, a link to our Etsy store where we sell some fun fan-inspired magnets, link to our Patreon if you'd like to help directly support the show each and every month. Just head over to the website or patreon.com/DCLDuo. Also has a way for you to sign up for our Substack newsletter that we're hoping to start really pumping out monthly here at least, and a few blog articles that we've written. So DCLDuo.com is the best way to connect with us. You can also, of course, email us at info@DCLDuo.com or reach out to us on our voicemail line at 402-413-5590. That's 402-413-5590. The DCL Duo podcast is not affiliated with Disney Cruise Line, the Disney Company, or the Disney family of theme parks. The views expressed on the show are solely those of the individuals on the podcast and in no way reflect the views of the Disney Company or Disney Cruise Line. If you have questions about a Disney cruise or a Disney vacation, please contact the great folks over at My Path Unwinding Travel or Disney directly or your own travel agent. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time for another fabulous adventure with the DCL Duo. Good night.